Here in the Boston area, Mayor Wu gets a lot of praise from, a lot of progressives and things like that. But I've been telling you guys, when you talk to the residents in Roxbury, when you talk to some of the residents in Dorchester and those neighborhoods in Boston, they have some things to say about Mayor Wu. And it is absolutely sad how she makes decisions for these neighborhoods without even talking to the people there. So you are going to hear one of the big upsets right now from Black residents in Boston about Mayor Wu, something that she just did yet again without talking to the community. So this is a big backtrack. What to know about Boston's proposed Madison Park school rebuild and why some in Roxbury say it's a step backwards. This is fundamentally taking agency away from the Black community, and frankly, it's just racist. So this is Madison Park Technical Vocational High School. If you saw my documentary, Removed Black Erasure in Boston, this is one of the schools that we talk about, right? So let's go on here. Let me tell you what she's doing. Boston is walking back its plans to turn a long vacant parcel in Roxbury into a life science hub and affordable housing, with city leaders looking to put redevelopment on hold while they consider building a new Madison Park Vocational Technical High School site. So here's the problem. Number one, she didn't ask the people in the community if they wanted this. She didn't contact them. They've been reaching out to her. She didn't sit down and talk with them about this at all. Two, this whole rebuild of the Madison Park High School has been proposed before. This is mentioned in my documentary, where they tore down homes to try to put in a highway to create this massive campus for Madison Park High School. That highway was never built, and people lost their homes and got vouchers and said, go live in an apartment somewhere down in Brockton or something like that, right? That life science hub, which would have included affordable housing, and we put quotation points around affordable because we've gone through that before. Sometimes it's not actually affordable for people who are in the area. That had been planned for decades. Like, that has been something they've been working on for a long time for the Roxbury community. And it would have created a lot of jobs so that people in Roxbury could have those jobs there at that life science hub. Out of nowhere, she decides to just dismiss that and say, let's focus on the high school. Now, my thing is, you could have done both. You really could have. Boston gave $10 million to Israel last year. So you could have done both. But they decide to take away, nope, not for the housing, not the life science hub and the jobs. Let's just rebuild Madison Vocational High School. And then I say for this, how many kids are in the area now? A lot of people aren't having kids like they used to. Who are they building this for? And that should let you know everything. Because as I said before about gentrification, there is an entire plan for Roxbury in Boston, and it does not include the people who live there. This high school revamp that Mayor Wu was doing, this is not for the people who live in Roxbury. This is for what is to become the future of Roxbury, which includes the elite, the college graduates, and all the tech bros, they have already made their way into Roxbury via gentrification, but this is going to be their future home. Roxbury is very close to downtown Boston. That's why developers want that area. So I've been warning people about this. It's not just Boston. It's happened in San Francisco. It's happened in Inglewood, California. It's happening in all these major cities all across the country, which, interestingly enough, tend to have Democrat mayors. So it doesn't matter if it's a Democrat mayor or not. They're all answering to what developers and what developments want. So let's go on here. The reversal has been met with sharp criticism from some in Roxbury, where community leaders spent decades helping shape the long-awaited redevelopment. But with decreasing demand for lab space and roughly 700 million Madison Park Technical Vocational High School building project on the line, the Wu administration is sticking to its guns. This is another thing she tends to do. When people in the community say, this is not what we want, this is not going to benefit us, she tends to say, I'm sticking to what I want to do. If you saw my documentary, she did the same thing with the takeover of White Stadium, where the people in the community said, yes, White Stadium needs to be rebuilt. It needs renovations, but you can't take a public stadium and privatize it and give it to these investors for this women's soccer league and just shut us out. What did she say? She said she would not apologize. Watch the documentary. You'll see a lot of this. It goes on to say here, appearing on Boston Public Radio, Mayor Wu said the redevelopment was not happening on its own due to the economics, not the Madison rebuild. She further suggested the developer's pitch to subsidize affordable housing with lab space has become a pipe dream in today's economy. But it's not a pipe dream because Boston gave $10 million to Israel, which she unequivocally supports, by the way. A lot of the progressives, a lot of like the DSA peeps, like in the Boston area that love some Mayor Wu or whatever, they don't tell you this part. This is what I've been trying to explain to people for quite some time. They don't tell you that a lot of these policies that she's pushing are disenfranchising people who grew up here. Let's go on here. It's time to come to terms that those promises are not able to be delivered on by that developer. And now we are finding a way to actually make something work. Here we go. Roxbury residents who learned about the change of plans at a community meeting last week said that while they welcome a revamp of Madison Park School, they also want the economic development they were promised. On the one hand, everyone wants to see Madison Park win. This is from Armani White, executive director at Reclaim Roxbury. On the other hand, we also want to see the community development that we selected also win. What is parcel P3? Sitting at 7.7 acres, the publicly owned plot on Tremont Street comprises land that was cleared of businesses and housing more than 50 years ago as part of the Urban Renewal Initiative to prepare for the doomed Inner Belt project. I also talked about this in the documentary as well. After residents fought plans to run a massive highway through their neighborhoods, the land ultimately remained vacant. A proposal to put a large retail and residential complex on the site, known as Parcel P3, fell through in 2019, and city leaders back to the drawing board. In 2023, planning officials tapped HYM Investment Group and My City at Peace for a redevelopment slated to add affordable housing, green space, life science buildings, and a museum for Embrace Boston, an organization that honors the legacy of Coretta Scott King and Martin Luther King Jr. However, demand for lab space has taken a nosedive in the years since, slowing progress and leaving the parcel empty still. It's not news to anybody that we are at a dramatic downturn of development of all kinds throughout the city. This comes from Karos Shen. It's affecting all of the neighborhoods of the city, and Roxbury is not immune to that economic condition. What's the new plan? The city is planning to let P3 development rights lapse at the end of the month rather than renewing the designation awarded HYM and My City at Peace. We believe that letting the current designation expire for P3 is the most transparent and prudent course of action when the city has identified a public purpose and another potential path forward for this parcel. Now let's get into what the residents are saying here. Let me make sure the backlash part. Though Shin said the upcoming feasibility study would include significant public engagement, community members who weighed in during January 12th meeting had sharp criticism of the city's process. This is fundamentally taking agency away from the Black community, and frankly, it's just racist. That came from Rodney Singleton. I'm just terrified that we would be suggesting this. Rodney Singleton is featured in my documentary. He's one of the people who, unfortunately, his family lost their home due to urban renewal. So took generational wealth away from his family. Former Boston City Councilor Tito Jackson, and not the Tito Jackson, not Michael's brother Tito Jackson. The guy's put out there. There's another Tito Jackson who has been a politician here in Boston. Tito Jackson argued officials are effectively pitting Madison Park against neighborhood economic development, which is woefully unfair. There is a false choice that is being made right now, and I have to call it out. This does not have to be an or. He goes on to say that the lack of community involvement in the decision to let the development rights lapse, calling on city leaders to tap your brakes. You're making a pronouncement right now. You're telling people what you're going to do, not asking them what we should do. That's not how we rock here in Roxbury. And that's been happening for quite some time. And that's how it's been. And that's what I've been telling you guys. Like, talk to people who grew up in Brooklyn, in neighborhoods like Fort Greene. Bed-Stuy now is dealing with gentrification. That's the thing. They don't want to sit down and talk to the people who live in these neighborhoods who grew up there. They come in and tell you what they think is going to be best for your community that they don't even live in. And ultimately, what Mayor Wu is doing is she is green lighting a path for more gentrification in Roxbury, for more of the college graduates from these elite universities to come in and reside there, and a new shiny high school for them. When all these years, people in Roxbury have been dealing with the issue of the high school as it is. And that's a big problem that we have. Developers always want to build something new, but they never want you to be there to enjoy it. So I was warning people about her. I want to show you this snippet from my documentary because she's done this before. This is who she is. And this is the person that a lot of progressives, they want her so badly to run for Congress, to run for president. This woman operates for developers, and that's the way it's been. Just a reminder here. Now, one redevelopment project that Mayor Wu's administration supported was the demolition of an apartment complex called Mildred Haley Apartments. These apartments are located in the neighborhood of Jamaica Plain. Formerly known as Bromley Heath, Mildred C. Haley Apartments was one of the apartment communities that I visited a couple of years ago because residents had complaints about black mold and rat holes that were found on the property. Mayor Wu promised that the city would allocate money towards these apartments to renovate them, to fix them up so that the residents can have an improved quality of living. In the end, this renovation ultimately led to displacement. And it's not just the residents of Mildred Haley Apartments that are dealing with displacement under Mayor Wu's reign. At one point, she even wanted to do this with schools. Mayor Wu considered removing the John D. O'Brien School of Mathematics and Science out of a Black community in Roxbury and transferring that school to a neighborhood called West Roxbury. So she got a lot of pushback for this one. She wanted to take a STEM school from a Black neighborhood and transfer it to a white neighborhood. So this is the person that a lot of progressives said she's a champion for the people. This is what she has been doing. And people say, well, why do they continue to vote her in? A lot of Black residents did not vote her in. I mean, her challenger was Josh Kraft, who is a son of billionaire Robert Kraft, who moved to Boston like a year or two prior so that he could run for mayor. So he's from a billionaire family. Then he dropped out of the race early. So she ran uncontested after that. But if you talk to a lot of Black people, a lot of them stayed home. So these are the things that people need to see. They need to see what she has been doing. And I'll show you the part here of what Rod Sterling said right about here. Community and put that school in a white neighborhood.
She's taken the land away from us, like urban renewal, moving a STEM school from where it was in Roxbury to West Roxbury, demonstrates this idea of this very authoritarian, paternal, and frankly, patently racist approach to governing that she has to own. When people show you what they are, you should believe them.
And that is who Mayor Wu is. Another Harvard graduate who's a part of the establishment, who ran on the housing issue, who is bent over backwards for developers. That's who she is. And I refuse to let people sit here and pretend like she's doing a lot more than she actually is for the working class people. That's who she is. And she's been able to play the game for quite some time. So ignoring people in these communities, bending over backwards for developers, she's very much a part of the status quo. But with this new situation, I can tell you, I don't think this is going to end well, especially now that City Councilor Tito Jackson has even spoken out about it. And other people need to ask, where is Ayanna Pressley? Ayanna Pressley usually backs Mayor Wu. Why is Ayanna Pressley not speaking out against this? Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.